Welcome back to Raising the Bar, Let's Play Might and Magic 6. This is episode 15, where we are in the Shadow Guild Hideout on the Castle Iron Fist map. First, before we get started, we want to set up some new default spells. We have the first aid spell that we've been using up to now, but as you can see, that spell only makes an absolute value heal. 5 points, 7 points, 10 points, depending on expertise or mastery. It doesn't scale with body magic, but this new spell we've got, Cure Wounds, well, this one does. This is 5 plus 2 per point of skill, which means already at our current skill level, it's a much more potent heal, and it will become more so over time. And a sorcerer, instead of defaulting to Fireball, will default to Sparks, because in these tight corridors we don't want something that can do a large area of effect damage. I should say, as you can see, we're watching this sped up. I'm doing commentary afterwards. We're going at about 150% speed in the video editor, and it's in double speed in the game as well, so that's like 300% speed. As you can see, we entered into a corridor with just 2 doors, one of them which hurt us on approach, and the other one where we are going in at the moment. So the enemies in this dungeon are going to be basically entirely melee characters, so our strategy is going to be to try and do as much ranged damage as we can. If we prevent anything from coming near us where possible, then we are essentially not at any risk of getting hit at all by anyone in here. So it's going to be a very easy dungeon to clear. It's also a very small dungeon, especially compared to some of the huge ones that we've done up until now. This is a very modestly sized dungeon, which makes a nice change. So, empty room here, but there is on the wall there a hidden button. That we can press. Yeah, do that. That'd be great if you would do that. Thank you. There we go. Now that has, if we go back into the corridor now, you can see that that's actually opened up a new section of corridor down there with several more doors off it. And we're just going to go from room to room, clearing them out. We do have some fairly powerful bad guys in this place, but yes, nothing that will do any ranged damage to us. And we're hitting pretty hard with the bow now and with various ranged spells, so we should be more or less okay. As you can see though, our sorcerer already, after just flinging a few fireballs and sparks spells, has run out of mana already. And this is with a level, with a 4 skill level in expert meditation as well. So we actually have meditation being the skill that adds to our mana pool on a character. So we already put quite a few points in that, and we're still struggling. I don't believe, I need to double check this, but I don't believe that adding more points into spell schools makes the mana burn rate less. I think the only, I don't know, I don't think necessarily, some spells may have an expert or a master variant that uses less mana. I think they do, but I think the other thing you can do is just get more mana. I don't think there are ways to minimize your sort of burn use of it, but I may be wrong on that. I will check as much documentation as I can find about that on that point, because if we're going to have a magic heavy party as we're planning, we don't want to be having to rest. We don't want to be having to rest every few encounters just to replenish our party's mana rate. Okay, so little stuff in that chest, and a letter from the Prince of Thieves, which is he is commanding his followers or his minions here to continue in Iron Fist and New Sorpigal. This is the guy who is basically running the show. We've encountered him before his name on a different letter. He seems to be shaping up, from what we know at the moment, to be a major antagonist in this game. So yeah, as you can see, we're just trying to lure out some of the guys into the corridor, sort of a couple at a time. A couple of guys down at the end there who were sort of left behind last time, who were in sort of flight mode, I guess. When you do enough damage to an enemy in this game, they basically cease to be hostile and they just try and get away from you. At that point, they're no threat, but they can be easily mocked up with a bow usually. So we're about halfway through the dungeon at the moment. The reason that we were in here, by the way, is we had a quest that was given us actually way back in episode 1 in the town hall in New Sorpigal. We were sent in here. Here we are. We were sent in here to rescue Shari and take her back to Frank Fairchild in the town hall in New Sorpigal. And at the time we didn't know where it was until we sort of happened upon this place in our pursuit of a plan C. After our plan A and B failed, plan A being the Silverhelm outpost, which we ended up getting sort of beaten back from in a state of just not quite being powerful enough to take down some of the monks in there. Plan B being trying to find Nikolai in the circus, which it turns out we can't really practically do until A, we've leveled up quite a way further, or B, it's the month of December as opposed to April as it is at the moment. So we felt that this. I'm just recapping from previous episodes here, but after those two plans sort of went south, we have ended up occupying ourselves with clearing out this dungeon here and looking around the rest of the Castle Iron Fist map. So, as you can see here, we are in a place that we have got backed into a dead end. But we can get out of here. We just need to be a little careful with the healing and things like that. Most of the guys, the problem is our sorcerer, who has the spark spell, which is very useful, keeps running out of mana there. Yeah, like I said earlier, we do need to work on our ability to cast more spells between rests. But yeah, unfortunately, this is the thing we didn't want to do, which is get a little trapped. But we managed to get out of that situation, fortunately. Going into some of the other side rooms along the way here, looking for more loot and such like, luring these guys out a couple at a time. Yeah. So I think the next thing we will probably end up doing after this, assuming we can find Shari, and we've got to head back to New Sorpigal in that case to hand in that quest, then I think the next thing we can try and do, and I've no idea how feasible this is going to be, but we now have a water walk spell, and on the New Sorpigal map, the only area that we've been able to explore so far is the mainland south half of the map. There is a whole other section of the map, which is a set of islands, and nothing in there, just some bags and barrels there. That was a nice reprieve from the rooms full of thieves and soldiers. We can walk across the water and find the other islands and see what we can find there, perhaps. A few stat boosting liquids here. For each of these colours in our notes, we generally can look and find out what they are. And in some cases, I'm going to pick the character to receive a benefit, a stat boost, who has the lowest of them, like in cases like luck, which I don't think is very class dependent. But then there's things like intellect that is going to go to a prime spellcaster more than anyone else. because someone who isn't casting a lot of spells, I don't think they use their intellect very much at all. We found 2 barrels here of red liquid, which is might. And characters, all our characters, aside from the paladin, have only 7 might, only single digit might, which is really, really low. So we gave a couple of boosts there to those characters, even though I'm not sure if they use might. Another secret button there that opens up a the length of a parallel corridor to our original corridor. So we are getting towards the end of the dungeon right now. By the way, I'm speaking into my new microphone setup, which is set up on a boom arm with a shock mount, and I've spent, frankly, a ludicrous amount of money getting this thing sorted. So I do hope that it sounds better than it did last time. If not, it was just a complete waste of money, the entire thing. But yeah, I've got what amounts now to not a professional, but certainly a decent amateur recording setup. And it's certainly much more convenient as well with this arm that's affixed to the back of my desk, that I can just sort of pull the microphone over between my computers and speak into it whenever I need to, without having to deal with cables and trying to clear desk space and things like that. Hopefully it sounds pretty good. I imagine I did do a GeoGuessr video already in this, and it sounded terrible because I used the mastering settings that I'd already been used to using in previous videos that were recorded with the other mic. So it was far too bassy. I think I was recording far too close to it as well. It sounded pretty awful, but I think I'm going to get the settings all sorted out. Anyway, that is completely beside the point of any reason that you are watching this video. That button again just closed the end there. No use for that. So we've just found a key in that chest. And we have one room that we have yet to explore, which was the room in the middle there that was the door that hurt us when we first approached it. But now we can open that door, and inside we will find Sherry Carnegie, who is our quest objective. We have just performed a rescue away from this Shadow Guild. So we're going to head back towards New Sorpigal to get our reward for that quest. As you can see, a very short dungeon, which really makes a change. No stable option to go to New Sorpigal today, but there is a ship that we can catch there. Yes, the schedules for travel are very dependent on the day of the week, and I don't really know what I'm doing for most of it, so we got kind of lucky there that there was an option to go to New Sorpigal rather than having to walk. There we go, 2,000 gold for the hand-in. So that's our quest. And as you can see, our characters are also ready to level up. So we're going to pop into the training center and level up to 2 levels for 2 of the characters and 1 level for the other 2 characters. We now have a fair number of skill points to allocate on these characters. But I'm going to leave it there for today. I'm going to research where those skill points are going to be best placed to help our party build. So I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next week for another episode of Raising the Bar.